didn't start today. The whole vision didn't start today. We found out that Africans are not interested in other African destinations. 80% of all the aviation traffic in Africa are carried by non-African carriers. Only 20% are carried by African airlines. That's why South African Airlines is having problems. That's why Kenya Airways is having problems. Only one profitable airline on a continental level. Okay, Africa World is also profitable. But in Africa, 80% of the traffic is out of Africa. We have 1.2 billion people, but we don't get up to 63 million visitors. We get between 50 to 73 million people. It's a big problem for Africa, and you see quite a lot of people in Africa prefer to travel outside Africa, to Europe, to Middle East, to Americas, to different places, but not many Africans travel within Africa. For Africa to grow, for tourism to thrive in Africa, with a population of 1.2 billion people, we need a minimum of 120 million Africans traveling within Africa. For this to happen, we have to sell Africa to Africans. We need Africans to travel within Africa. We need to put life behind the visions of Africa. Why do Africans travel out of Africa? Africans travel because they've been sold images of fantastic beaches, of a wonderful shopping environment, forgetting the fact that the best beaches in the world are found in Africa. That the best, there is more shopping, more square meters in South Africa than the whole Central Europe put together. So if what you're looking for is to shop, you can shop enough in Africa. We have more square meters of shopping space in South Africa than the whole of Europe, Central Europe put together. The beaches of Africa are out of this world. And we also have things you can't get outside of Africa. You can't get the super waterfalls, the wildlife experience. You can't even get the cultures and the festivals of Africa. So what we are trying to do is to sell Africa to Africans. Only Africans can do that. I want to quote Frederick Doll. I said, we are the people we are waiting for. Nobody is coming to do that for us. We have to do it ourselves. So the Wonders of Africa project is to sell the wonderful experience, the wonderful sceneries, the wonderful cultures of Africa to Africans first. I'm not saying non-Africans cannot buy the idea. They can join us. But there are 1.2 billion people in Africa. We don't need grants. We can make more money from tourism within ourselves than we can get from outsiders. The 63 million people that we have visit Africa today is less than the number of tourists that France. France is a very small country. Land-wise, population-wise, there are like 6 African nations that have more people than France. So how does one country get more tourists than the whole of Africa put together? It's not right. So we don't wait for anybody to do it. We have to do it ourselves. There has to be a coalition of the willing who comes together to be able to change this narrative, to get Africans to love Africa. If you ask most Africans, where do you want to spend your holiday? They will name somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
And they will name somewhere in Middle East. I go there too. But I have traveled around Africa. I have never seen the kind of beaches I see in Africa anywhere else in the world. I've never felt the kind of excitement I get when I'm in Africa. I don't get racism in Africa. Yeah, you still see that some countries prefer white tourists to black tourists, but you still see a lot of that. That's a business decision anyway. They think the foreign tourists will spend more, but I do know that we do spend more than them. But we have to change the story. When we change the story, tell people there are beautiful places in Africa. Let people know about the mountains in Africa. Let people know about the tallest structures that you have in Africa. Let people know about the history of Africa. about quite a lot of things that you cannot see anywhere else in the world. And that's our job. Nobody's coming to do that for us. So the Wonders of Africa is an attempt by travel professionals to change the narrative, to change the business structure. Because tourism in Africa was started by non-Africans. They started doing tourism into Africa as a way. When Thomas Cook started the tours to Egypt, he was doing it for the consumption of British tourists and the rest of them. But today, this is an opportunity for us to take control of the marketing of Africa, and we'll change the structure of the business. Prior to today, every attempt was to sell Africa to non-Africans. Everybody pumps in marketing budget into trade shows outside Africa. There are 1.2 billion people in Africa. The middle class in Africa is approaching more than 100 million people. This is a huge resource. All these foreign airlines that fly into Africa, who do they carry? They are carrying Africans. They are making money from Africans. And you could see the only profitable African airline is the one that carries more Africans, Ethiopian Airlines. He has 10% of that 20% of African travelers because it flies to 58 places. It flies to more places than every other airline. So if we need to create strong airlines, if we need to create strong hotels, if we need to create strong tourism business, we have to sell Africans to Africa. There is a need to get at least not just 1 million Africans. We need about 5 million Africans to start traveling within Africa. 5 million is a very small number out of 1.2 or 1.3 billion people. And the economic power is there. My own country, Nigeria, have like 5 million, 3 million to 5 million people that travel abroad every year. South Africa has millions of people that travel. The highest number of visitors per capita increase for Dubai comes from Africa, Nigeria and Uganda. So if you want to create a viable tourism business, the audience is here in Africa. So it's our job now to present to these Africans the good part of Africa. Show them we have quality hotels, show them we have fantastic destinations, show them those lovely beaches. Let them see the history of Africa. Whatever it is you're going to look for in Europe, whatever it is you're going to look for in Asia, you can get in Africa. So the whole concept of Wonders of Africa is to present to Africans the wonderful blessings that God has given us, and to let Africans see these things themselves and make the decisions to visit Africa. So that is an introduction, that we want more Africans to travel within Africa by changing the stories, telling them Africa is much more beautiful, it's safer to travel in Africa, it's much more profitable. You can actually start a business on your first trip to another country, which won't happen anywhere. You can also do your shopping in Africa. So this is the whole concept, to get Africans to travel within Africa by selling Africa to Africans and creating a new narrative for Africa.
Thank you, Ikechi. That's a wonderful concept. And I think that if it works, it's going to help all of us in Africa. But when you're speaking, you said that Africans prefer to travel outside of Africa. Why is that so?
Okay, it's simple. If you don't know that I exist, and you only know of Ahmed, you talk only to Ahmed, you visit Ahmed. But when you get to know me and know some other things about me, like now you're getting to see my new place.
Yeah.
So you get to know the other aspects. I also tell you there is a psychological thing that happens to most Africans. What you don't know, you are likely to avoid. What you avoid, you're likely to fear. What you fear, you might hate. Okay. So because of the fact we don't know, and we only get to hear about Africa. The only thing you hear about, maybe Malawi, is what the foreign news agency tells you about Malawi. You get to hear that in some African countries, they kill albino. Another African country, they tell you they are drugs addicts. Another African country, they tell you they kill hunchback. So you get bombarded by negative imageries and stories about Africa. They have made you conclude that other African countries are not as good as your country. I've traveled around Africa and I've seen that attitude from almost every other African. They always think they are better than the other African. They always think that the other African does not have any advantage. So you've been programmed to think like that, but it is not so. So because we've been programmed to see Europe and Asia as superior in products than what we have, we prefer to go there first. The first time I went to Kenya, I was stunned.
Okay.
You know, prior to that, you've been Europe, you think that all I'm going to see in Kenya is wild animals. But I stayed in Nairobi, and the city center, amazing. And I could feel the energy. And it happens to me everywhere I've been, Accra, Banjul, Kampala. You can't get that elsewhere. But because nobody tells this story. In Africa, every country has small silos. We don't talk to each other. We don't relate with each other. So we don't know what goes on. You don't know that Kampala has an amazing nightlife. You don't know Lagos nightlife. You don't know Nairobi nightlife. You don't know Joburg nightlife. You don't know. When I was in Lusaka, we went to North Bank. Is it North Bank or North Mid? It was an amazing experience walking around in the night. The same experience with Bulawayo. You don't know these countries, and what you don't know, you avoid. So I don't blame Africans for preferring to go elsewhere. That is what message they have received prior to now. Our job now is to change that. We are going to begin to tell Africans fantastic stories about Africa. We are going to showcase Africa in a new light. I have a guiding principle for the searches we do. We say that it is an opportunity for you to see an old destination with new eyes.
Okay.
You have been to this place before, but I've given you a different story. So when you get to Cape Coast, you are not just looking at the castle, you're looking at the story behind the castle.
Yeah.
And when you get to some places, we'll give you a story behind the place. So the place now has a new meaning to you. If you come to Lagos before, you didn't know that Third Mainland was the longest bridge over water in Africa and the third longest in the world, right?
Yeah.
So now you see it. So when you're on that bridge, the 20 minutes you spend on that bridge, you know you are making, it's a milestone. You walk into Damalek and you go to that tower. It's okay, this is the tallest building in Africa. It's a different experience. You go to Ginger and they say this is the source of the Nile. There has to be a story. Africa has not told its story. And because we have not told our story, the choices we make are based on what we already know. In marketing, you call it a schema, top of the mind. So the schemas we have, the top of the mind awareness we have is about Europe, it's about Asia, it's about Middle East. So the whole Wonders project is to try to create a different narrative, and that will change the business.
Okay, so a different narrative of how we see Africa.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a different narrative we are going to create.
Okay.
We already done that partially. A lot of Africans travel to Africa. The second largest number of visitors to Kenya come from Uganda. And you know the numbers Nigeria gives to Ghana. Yeah. And you know the number Angola gives to South Africa. So already, it's already working. So all we need to do is enlarge these numbers. If it was 100,000, can we make it 200,000? Can we bring in more people? There's a younger population that is coming that have money. Can we get them to go to Africa first instead of going outside Africa first. Most people's first trip makes a whole lot of difference. The tour operators that I brought to Wezo, I know how it changed
their perception of Ghana.
The impact it has had on them. Now they sell more African tours. And if they never came, they will only be selling non-African tours. So changing the narrative, and if you check the Committee for the Wonders of Africa, are made up of experienced travel professionals who have gravitas in their own neighborhood. They are people that people know. They are people that people respect. So these are the people we are using for the Wonders of Africa. And they are going to do amazing things because I trust them. I know the experiences they have, and it won't be too difficult for us to change the narrative.
Okay, Ikechi, how are you going to involve all stakeholders in this project? Who are the stakeholders you're looking at, and how best will they be involved in the project?
Okay. What we have done is that we created what we call the management team. The management team is made up of team leaders and country reps. Some countries have 3 members, some countries have 2, some countries have 1. There are source countries where a lot of African travelers, you know, where you get a lot of, we normally will appoint 3 reps for those countries. Countries where you don't have quite a lot of travelers within Africa will appoint 1 rep. Now, each of these reps will be the team leader for their country. In Ghana, the 3 players there who are the team leaders for Ghana. Each one of them is expected to recruit members into their own cohorts. So they are going to have cohorts all over Africa. So out of the 40 people in the management team, they are going to create cohorts. So at the end of the day, we put all these cohorts together. We have between 400 and 1,000 travel professionals in Africa working together. So what we have done was to appoint these team leaders for all the leading countries in Africa. So the partnership or the project will be run by the team leaders for each country with the team members in the country and the central team working together, which is the management team. So that is already in place. The management team is already in place. The country reps are already in place. So the next thing now is that each country is going to set up, they are going to have cohorts for each country. Then we put the whole thing together. So if I want to sell a trip to South Africa, I already have 40 people in South Africa that I can relate with. And these 40 people in South Africa have access to 40 people in Ghana, access to 40 people in Kenya. So it's a combination of weak links all over Africa. So it's a web that brings the whole of Africa and the diaspora. The Wonders of Africa is not just about Africa. It's about Africa and the diaspora. I will explain something to you. African Union have 6 zones. 5 zones on continental Africa, and the 6th zone is the African diaspora. So in the Wonders of Africa, we are using those 6 zones of African Union. If we notice, we launched the Wonders of Africa on the 25th of May, Africa Day.
Yeah.
We'll be having the conference for the Wonders of Africa on the 9th of July. 9th of July was the day African Union was set up in Durban. The 9th of September was the year when it took off, 9999. So these dates are important because we are trying to create something for Africa. So we are following the plan of how African Union is configured. It's 6 zones, and we also have 6 zones. So we are going to choose 4 wonders from each of the zones.
4 wonders.
So there will be 25 wonders altogether.
4 wonders
from each of the zones.
Okay. 4. So that will be 24. Yes.
Yeah, then we have one that is already chosen.
Which
we
one
met
is
it
that?
there. The pyramids of Egypt.
Egypt, okay.
Only surviving one of the ancient wonders of the world. So we won't even go down ratio. So we accept that's the 25th one. So we are going to choose 4 wonders from the 6 zones of Africa. So we already have committees in each of these zones who will bring all the players together. So any professional in Ghana has to work with the 3 leaders in Ghana. Professionals in Nigeria has to work with the leaders in Nigeria. That's the process for the project. So that's how we are going to involve all professionals. Like you now, you're going to come as part of a media team. So the media team is a different group that has to work when we start these expeditions.
Okay. Okay, so you are involving basically everyone in the sector. So media, travel agencies, airlines, everyone that makes up the chain. Right.
Yeah, everyone is covered, because if it works well, the biggest beneficiaries will be African airlines. They will be the biggest beneficiary from the Wonders project. So
Okay.
why? If Africans start traveling within Africa, no African airline will suffer.
Of course.
All African airlines will blossom. African world does well because there is traffic within West Africa. Ethiopian airline flies to more African destinations than any other African airline. But you know the funny thing? The second largest airline in Africa is Turkish Airline. The 3rd largest airline in Africa is Air France. Then you have Emirates. So the likes of Kenya Airways and South African Airways don't have enough footprints in Africa to benefit from the large population of Africa. Turkish Airline and Air France actually carry quite a lot more people than South African Airways and Kenya Airways in Africa. So
wow.
The only airline that is covering Africa for now is ET, and you could see they are profitable. So if we could get more Africans to travel within Africa, then almost every African airline will profit.
Oh, okay.
So it's something that is going to have the hotels, the destinations, the airlines, the agents, the tour operators, even the African traveler is going to be better served. Because once the numbers go up, the ticket prices come down, the destinations will spruce up. It's something that is going to benefit everybody. It costs more to travel out of Africa. And now, post-COVID, you're going to have quite a lot of people not wanting to go beyond their continent. They are bringing up all blacklists and bans. So I think that is something that everybody wins. It's not something that only one or the tour operators or the travel agents, or it's something that everybody in Africa is going to feel, and everybody in Africa is going to win.
Okay.
And remember, I said it's a coalition of the willing.
Of the willing. Okay. All right. But what I want to know is
yeah, some people might not want, some people.
Hello, Ikechi.
Go ahead.
Okay. In your team, in your management team.
I can hear you.
Okay. In your management team, do you have reps from all the stakeholders? Do you have reps from all stakeholders that make up your management team? Because I'm thinking that for this to work, you need everyone to be part of the decision making. So I just want to know if you have reps from all the stakeholders in the industry making up your management team.
Okay. The man whose job is to deliver tourists to everybody is the tour operator. The tour operator is the link between everybody in the chain. The tour operator is the go-between between the destinations and the traveler. And he generates the numbers and the business for the airlines, the hotel, and everything. So the first thing we did is to build a team made up of travel agents and tour operators. So you will find out that most people in the management team are travel professionals in their own country. They have a network. They know everybody. They are travel leaders. So they are the ones now who are going to represent the Wonders project to every other person in their neighborhood. We are not going to have everybody. There are 1.2 billion people in Africa. So we have to do it at different tiers. So the 40 people in the management team now are made up largely of tour operators and travel agents. There are hoteliers.
Hello. I think Ikechi. Hello.
The management
okay.
is made up purely of people in the travel trade, the brokers of the business. The tour operator deals with the hotel, deals with the airline, he deals with the car hire, he deals with every other person. So we cannot have car hire as a member in each country. So we have chosen 3 or 2 people in charge of that particular territory. So we've mapped out all the territory, and these 40 people are from different countries, and they are different leaders, but largely travel agents and tour operators. Then there's a media team that is made up of travel media.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. All right. So what I want to know is, for Ghana, who is representing us in the Wonders of Africa project?
Okay. This will not be the place for me to reveal the name.
Okay.
On the 9th of July, we are having a global Zoom conference. We are going to present to the world all the team leaders, their names, their pictures, the names of their countries, the companies they represent. So the whole world will know. We should have done that before, but we have not collected all the information about the team leaders. So we don't want to do it piecemeal. Because it's you and my people, that's why I'm doing it. I'm not supposed to do this before the 9th.
I understand.
You expect that. So I had to come on. Other people had asked me to participate, and I'm sure they will come after me after this, especially from Ghana. But I couldn't say no the way it was done. And at least I'm sure you know our team leaders for Ghana, 1 or 2 of them. So
yeah.
we will unveil it once we've tidied up the whole document. We'll unveil it to Africa on the 9th of July. We're going to let everybody know with pictures, with names, and the companies they represent. And I can assure you they are extremely reputable people. They are people you can trust. They are people we took time out to try and find out about them. So these team leaders are people who would represent Africa well. And some of them have done amazing things. So by the time you get to hear about them, you will be confident that the result will be very well. The research is going to involve the whole world. You know, it's not a 3 months or 6 months thing. It's a 2-year project. It's a 2-year project.
2-year
so
project.
It's done in 5 phases. Now we are putting in together the infrastructure. We are going to get quite everybody involved. We are going to announce in September the shortlisted places. Then we are going to do the first screening, and the result will be announced May next year to bring the number down. We are going to do another screening in September and October. So each year we are going to do screening twice. So it's a slow, sure, credible process so that it's transparent. Everybody is going to follow. there won't be what we call in Nigeria, mago. So we try as much as possible to, and that's why we have such a large number. And we have another level, the project board, which is made up of former ministers of tourism and experienced people in the industry who will supervise what the management team is doing. So it's a slow process, but it's going to be something that will involve every African. We expect that every African is going to get involved in the project to get it to work. Because if you just have only travel professionals, it might not get the traction that is needed. But without the travel professionals, it will not be successful. If you did anything and you don't have these 1,000 or 400 people playing, it won't work. They are the ones who are going to sell those stores. If we're going to climb Kilimanjaro, who's going to? Well, expeditions, is these store operators that are going to sell the tours. If we say we are going to, somebody has to put the package together from all these countries. So when we start the expedition, these are the people that are going to package it. So if we give everybody 3 months notice that there is an expedition going to the source of the Nile, these are the people that are going to put together the team that will get to the Nile. So they are very vital, and they are the anchor behind the whole project. Every African will get involved, but now we are starting at the most basic level, which is the tour operators, the travel agents, the stakeholders who own the assets, the airlines and the hotels. We are going to work with everybody. And I think when we finish with Africa, the whole world will join. I know that's how it works, because Africa is the most lovely continent that you have today. We are the center of the world. We provided civilization for mankind, and it's coming home to us. So I think this is the right time. This is the best time to do
it. Yes, I agree with you. This is really the right time for this project, because COVID-19 has taught us to domesticate. Thank you so much for the great work you're doing. And I hope that everyone listening today, wherever you are, would be part of this project. Because in Africa, we have it all. We have the beaches, we have the castles, we have everything. Even our food is tourism. So I'm so impressed with you explaining what the wonders of Africa is today. I'm really impressed. But for Africans, we don't even, most of Africans don't travel out, let alone travel internally. How can we work this thing out?
Okay, I'll tell you a little story. The biggest fishing festival we have is called Arugu Fishing Festival. Sometimes in the 90s, I decided to write a book about festivals in Nigeria. So I traveled all the way. I found out that most people in town has never been to Arugu. They've never been to the festival. And they wondered why I would come all the way from Lagos. It's like 1,000 kilometers to attend the fishing festival. They had these myths or stories that if they touch you, you will turn to fish, things like that. So there was this scare. After I went there, came back and told exciting stories. The next time, other people wanted to go to the fishing festival. So if we don't go and tell the story, people are going to stay stuck in the old mindset. I came to Accra. Most of my friends have water. I came to Lagos, and I went to watch Charlie Water. I went around there, posted pictures. Oh, this is me in Jamestown. My friends who live in Accra decided to come to Charlie Water. They live in Accra, but they don't participate. So usually what you have is that It's still the power of narrative. There is the story that you can stay with a girl and she's not useful to you until you see men of high importance and quality looking for the same. Then you say she's gonna. There are so many pretty things in Africa, and if we don't have people of value come looking for them, it might never appeal to you. So what we are going to do is to change this narrative. The locals might be, but they are not interested in what happened. They've seen it all their life. They've seen it, so it has no value. But the day lots of tourists come to the same place, it's like, what are they here for? Oh, they came for this. But I see that all the time. Now it has value. It has economic value. They can make money from it. It has aesthetic value. And the biggest thing you can give to Africa is pride.
Yeah.
You give the African pride when you begin to appreciate his environment, his neighborhood, everything he has. And you could see, you listen to reggae and you hear them say Jamaica nice, Jamaica nice.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, they talk about, so you want to go to Jamaica.
To see what is the Jamaicanized about.
so if we don't tell those stories, it won't change. So it's our job to tell the stories. The Africans will travel to Africa. I can tell you about my own experience. I built a reputation writing about foreign destinations.
Okay.
I wrote the first part of my career. I got tickets from every international airline, Paris, Amsterdam. They sent me everywhere. I was one of the pioneer travel writers in West Africa.
Okay.
So I wrote stories about diamond cutting places in Amsterdam. I didn't think Africa was anything to see. Kenya Airways came to Nigeria and said, okay, maybe you should come to Mombasa. I went to Mombasa and I couldn't believe there was something as beautiful as that. I know Atlantic Ocean, I didn't know Indian Ocean. It was a completely mind-altering experience for me. So in 2004,
Kenya
I stopped promoting.
Ikechi, Kenya was the first African country you ever wrote about.
The first African country out of West Africa. Gambia, yes. I've done stories about Gambia, and I went to Cameroon and I went to Niger. Then Kenya was the first country out of West Africa. In Africa, I wrote about.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. In 2004, when I started promoting only Africa, I stopped promoting destinations out of Africa. First, there was hostility. People were not interested. But in 12 months, all of that changed. I'm here today talking to you about wonders of Africa. In Africa. It was difficult for the first 10 years because Africans do not believe in Africa. But it is not difficult for me to get 40 people to want to partner to sell Africa to Africans. Today, about domestic travel, regional travel, continental travel. But when I started in 2003, 2004, it was difficult. Nobody wanted to hear the story. Nobody in Nigeria wanted to travel anywhere. They all wanted to go to London. They all wanted to go to US. They wanted to go to all the places they see on television. But today, we've changed the story. So that's why they don't do a lot. My first trip to Ghana was 2004. And when I came, you didn't have a lot of Nigerians come to Ghana. But I teamed up with ABC Transport and I think Aero. and the numbers started going up, going up, going up, going up. There are some particular summer that you have more buses going from Lagos to Accra than is going from Lagos to the eastern part of Nigeria. So
oh, wow.
it started just like that. 2004, ABC Transport, Aero started, and a small partnership, and the destination picked up. So you can change the narrative. It just takes a little bit of attention, a little bit of work. It didn't happen overnight.
Okay.
But we are starting, and in 2 years, we'll deliver these numbers.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ikechi. So it starts from us. We can change the narrative. We need to tell our story the African way, and that would bring in more traffic. Thank you very much. I would give Ahmed a chance to contribute a bit to all that you have said. After that, I'm looking at...
Before Ahmed, I want to let people know that on July 9th, we are going to have a global Zoom conference to unveil the whole package with visuals and pictures of everybody. So,
so on July 9th, Wonders of Africa would be officially launched. And the team is looking at unveiled. And the team is looking at everyone in Africa and across the world to join that Zoom link to be part of history. This is history in the making. And I'm hoping that everyone would be part of it, because this is the time. This is the time Africa needs to be united. And for us to get that unity, we need to tell our story. We need to hold each other's hand and say that, yes, today I am putting down a package for West Africa. You can use 5 days to travel in West Africa. Today you go to Ghana, tomorrow Nigeria, and it goes on and on. We have to do it together. So I'm urging all of us to join that Zoom link on the 9th and be part of this history. Ahmed, I'll give you a chance to contribute. Just say something about what is happening. And then after that, I'll invite about 4 people to ask their questions. I hope Ikechi is ready to answer.
Some of them.
All right then, thank you very much. So Ahmed.
Yes, good afternoon again, Elizabeth. You and your honorable members on the Zoom network.
Hi.
Hello? Yeah, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. Ikechi is always full of ideas and surprises, and that we cannot wait to sell this product, especially in Africa. You know, this is an opportunity to all my colleagues and myself as a tour operator here to go back into business. Business after COVID-19 is not going to be the same anymore, especially when it comes to traveling outside Africa. You know, to even Dubai and Europe and this, they've come with so much cumbersome, I can say, conditions for travel, which I'm not sure it will be the case among Africans. So it's our opportunity to capitalize on our 1.3 billion people here, where the market is open. Our visa regime is flexible. If you want to speak about Ghana, only Ghana is welcoming almost every African citizen into Ghana, and visa is on arrival. Some do not need visa also due to treaties like ECOWAS and other regions, you know. So this is our opportunity. It's I can say, as a tour operator, I take this as a savings we have made for the bad times. We're going to the bad times now, but we have something that we've saved as our network in Africa, and we can capitalize on this and start selling our products to each other and making our daily living and promoting Africa as a whole. Now, I cannot touch on much of what Ambassador Ikechi said, because, you know, when this gentleman is speaking, you only have to listen. And then anytime
I know, right?
and anytime you put notes down, you think you have 10 points to speak about. By the time 3 minutes passes, you have to cancel some of the points because he's already spoken about them.
It's full of
So
knowledge.
he left my paper empty. I have done a lot of cancellation on my paper here.
I can
Anyway,
see
so
that.
I'm very excited. We want to sell, we want to host our African brothers and sisters, our tour operators, the citizens of all countries. Ghana is open and welcoming to everyone. We have a lot to see here. Africa is very, very rich. You know, one thing he spoke about that you may have a neighbor as a lady as your neighbor, which you will not realize how precious she is until somebody comes in.
Yeah.
So I will say that I would rather be more, I can say polite in this area. I would say the nearby church does not heal. You know,
That's
we always
not heal.
go, the nearby hospital doesn't heal. You always want to go far away to be healed. The
Yeah.
healing
Mm-hmm.
of our problems is in Africa. So we must concentrate on selling Africa. So that we have it all, as he mentioned. You know, I don't want to waste audience time or repeating the same thing. Shopping is in Europe, though we want to all go to Europe because of the prestige or the status that I have been to Schengen, I have been to England, I've been to this, but we have it all. If it's shopping, we have it. If it's nature, we have it. If it's beaches, we have it. Some people in Europe have not even seen a live chicken in their backyard. And they come here and then you walk in with the lion. Though I think Ikechi is the only gentleman in Africa who has walked with lions.
Walk with a lion.
Yeah, you know, where else in the world you can do what they call it, zip line on top of a waterfall. I mean, between Zimbabwe and Zambia is a beautiful zip line you have there. You just go all the way above the Victoria waterfalls. You know, Africa is magnificent. This is simple and short. It's magnificent. We must capitalize on it and make sure that we patronize and sell each other very, very well. And it's a home. After all, it is home. You know, I don't feel discrimination anywhere I go. Those who travel with me, or I travel with when we meet in expos and fairs, know that we are people who go out in the night. I'm someone who loves to go out in the night. In Kenya, for instance, people were complaining and scared about the northern coast of Kenya, you know, the terrorism that they branded the area with. I sat on a Boda Boda. If you know what is a Boda Boda is like the Okada. I sat on an Okada behind someone in the night, after midnight, and drove me for almost 40 minutes from where the hotel is, just for me to go and see a spot, a pub, and come back.
Wow.
And when I came back, some of them thought that I was crazy. That how would you go out?
Yes, because really, as I'm listening to you, I would say then you were brave.
I feel very safe. The first time we attended Abuja, I think it was Mantaba, Abuja. We walked out in the night, out the hotel, and I had a walk outside the seat. And people think that when you get to Lagos or to Nigeria, it is scary. You know, this is everywhere in the world. There are some areas that is a no-go, even for citizens of that country. But our countries in general are very safe. You know, our people are very welcoming.
I think Ahmed, we've not told our story.
Exactly.
We leave
That's
it
what I
to
said.
others to tell our story for us. So they decide on what they want to say.
We need them to know that the nearby hospital heals. You don't have to go far.
Yes, but how do we get them to know?
It is exposure. We have to brand our own story. Ikechi spoke about this, that you will have a product there and there is no light on this product, so people don't see it. So when we as tour operators travel, I believe, from country to country, if I meet 40 tour operators in Nigeria, that means I have 40 potential clients that I'm dealing with when I return to Ghana. I have business with 40 people. If they come and meet 40 people in Ghana, they also have, so imagine 40 times 40.
Yes, but Ahmed, okay, the project is laudable, okay, but how do you encourage a tour operator to sell this product? Because when we had the program last week for tour operators, you realize that even our own tour operators in our country don't believe that we have something worthwhile, worth selling, what would be the encouragement to those people?
A lot of
Sell more of Africa rather than
a lot of
the
my
other
friends,
places.
a lot of my friends will agree with me when I say this. This is a business that you can only succeed in if you are passionate about.
Okay.
Tourism is not about making money only. Tourism runs in our blood. I'm sure this project, you could see this project, I'm sure is very capital intensive, but there is the passion that Ikechi has presented it with a lot of passion. And you see that he is willing to do this. Now it's the responsibility of every one of us in his country or her country to make sure that they do their homework very well, because it's a collective responsibility for all the 24 African nations that are, or the 30 nations that are contesting in this. If it's a chain, if the chain breaks somewhere, it will affect the project. That's why I had Ikechi saying that he's chosen the reliable and the active people in their countries based on their profile and what he has seen. So I'm sure he's putting up a very good team in place, because we have to succeed in all countries. If you succeed in your country, there is no reason why people cannot sell your destination. And if they succeed in where they are, I don't see why we cannot buy their destination. So we have to rebrand Africa, rebrand our
Okay,
project.
so that is the word I was looking for, the rebranding.
Yes, that is the same thing going back to saying to tell our stories.
Yes.
But we have a lot of things in Ghana, in Ghana, a lot of things we have. Sometimes I'll be in a region, let me bring the Ashanti region as an example. We have destinations here that a citizen of Kumasi does not know, has not heard about it, and does not go there.
Of course.
So that is where domestic tourism plays a role. Ikechi was saying that when people see more tourists coming to this place, you will ask, what is happening here that tourists always goes? Then, it creates awareness. So it's about networking. When you network, you sell.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, I'll give a chance for 4 people to ask their questions. So if you want to ask a question, kindly raise your hand and you'll be unmuted to ask your question. Hello, Ikechi.
Someone has already raised their hand. I can see.
Okay. All right. H. Manyo Blanche.
Yes. Thank you very much. Oh gosh, I'm so excited. I just saw this invitation on some page that I'm on. I think by Elizabeth Sasu, and I decided to dial in, and it's just hit me. I got right in when Ambassador was talking about some kind of proverb about the woman being near you.
Yeah.
And I so agree. And Aman has just mentioned the hospital or the church being near you that you don't regard. I so agree with them. I just want to share a personal story, which brings home the fact that we do not tell our stories. So I needed to do some work in the Gambia sometime last year, November, December. And instead of flying in and out, I arranged with friends there who also wanted to come so that we drive back. They have a vehicle. And we drove over 5 days from Gambia to Accra. It was the most beautiful experience. And on the way, I mean, we arranged this so that we were all tweeting about it and Facebook Live and the rest. And then when I came back, I just wrote 2 short pieces about our visit from Gambia, wrote about the checkpoints, wrote about the places we stayed in, the sites we saw. Oh my God, we got into Bamako at night, the view. Then the morning when we woke up, the architecture. Africa is so beautiful. And I've been in all 5 continents in the world. I was surprised. Guess what? Based on what I wrote, I got inquiries from people. So I decided to do a small flyer to say, oh, at Easter, I'm going with people. I'm hiring a bus. And I got 16 colleagues who signed up immediately, about $1,600 when I did the whole thing. So when a tour operator says that there are no destinations or there are no people, I think that they have not done their work well. It's also partly because we don't tell our stories well, and I will agree with that. So whatever project is underway to first of all expose what we have and tell the story must be encouraged, every effort must be put in it. But for the fact that COVID happened and the shutdowns and the issues, at the from Easter Monday weekend, we're doing a 9-day trip, 16 people. 8 will drive there and fly back. And then another 8 would have flown there, see the sights in Banjul, day trip into Senegal and come back, and then drive back.
Wow.
Beautiful experience. And that's me. I work in a financial service. I don't have a business. I just put a name. I just picked a name and put it there, some name. And then within a week, the guys had signed up. I was like, guys, I'm playing. They said, look, we are serious. If you did it, we saw it. So let's do something. So I called the contacts at every place I stayed on the way, or we stayed on the way. I called them. They're like, yeah, between Airbnb and whatever, bookings done. Airline gave us rates and everything done. But for COVID, we were going. 9 days, people had blocked their leave days. So, and it's all because we had pictures showing what we were doing on the way. We had pictures showing where we stayed. We had pictures showing beautiful sights we saw, strange things, different things that we had never seen. And we didn't even do anything in Ghana. So I was like, even stopping in Mole and the beautiful places in Ghana along the way through Hamile, nothing, just outside from Ghana after the border. Beautiful. So 110% for any effort to drive tourist activity in Ghana. It will do well, far beyond anybody expects. I mean, I have no doubt about that. That's just my contribution. Yeah.
Thank you very much, H. Manoplan. What is the H?
Henry, sorry.
Henry. Thank you very much, Henry. So, Africa is beautiful. And I love your contribution. We can tell our story, but to tell our stories, we need pictures, we need videos. You can't just tell someone that, oh, okay, when you go to the Mole National Park, you see an elephant, and that elephant can serve as an umbrella for you when it's raining, without a picture. Picture goes a long way in telling our stories. So anyone traveling, wherever you are walking, just take a picture. Now, social media is the go-to person to market anything in the world. Take pictures, post them, say a word or two. Don't wait for the journalist to come and write the story. We are all journalists in our own rights. We can tell our own stories. Okay, thank you, Henry. I'll give a chance to Lena Lemomo. Lena.
Good afternoon, everybody. Greetings from warm Dar es Salaam.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I just want to say that we cannot emphasize enough how much of a story that we have to tell our own stories. And I'll relate to a story today that really shows how the West or everybody else looks about Africa. Yesterday on the 29th, also the day before yesterday on the 29th, schools in Tanzania opened. And I think with all that is going on, Tanzania's is been Zoom light and the way we've handled the COVID story. BBC decides to pick the story, and the best story that they got, the best picture actually they put over the heading, schools back to school in Tanzania. And they take this young boy sitting on a school desk with a very torn shirt.
Wow.
That is the best image. This was this Monday. That's the best image that these people could give about children going back to Tanzania after COVID. So for me, emphasizing on telling our own stories, we can never emphasize enough. I've always believed, and everybody who knows me, I keep saying all the time, we must tell our own stories. And another small story I'll give is Zimbabwe. I ran safaris to Zimbabwe. I stopped going after 2005. I went back in 2008. In between the 13 years, like everybody else, I've been reading what the West has been writing. So I take my plane, I arrive at about 1 in the morning. My imagination is playing against my thoughts. It's dark, and I'm imagining everything. Just to get out of the airport to see these wide streets. I drive through Zimbabwe for 14 days, amazing roads, amazing facilities. And I told my Zimbabwean friends, why do you let the world tell your story? I'm an African reading stories written from the West, and this is what I thought. I've come today after 13 years. I can't believe what I'm seeing. So we've got to tell our own stories. We've got to stop letting the world tell our stories. We must emphasize that. That's all I wanted to emphasize again. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. We need to tell our stories. That is the only way we can get Africa to rise. Hello, Walter. Any questions or contributions? Then we'll take a last one from Olanma. Hello, Walter. Hello? Walter? Okay, so let's hear from Olanma, and then hopefully Walter should get the technical issue solved and come online. Olanma.
Okay.
Okay, Walter.
Yes.
Yes,
Good
we can hear
afternoon.
you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tim. Okay. My name is Walter. I'm calling with operator for the last 15 years or so, or to say. I think on the travel like on the tour planning that we've had, I think we are to blame in one way or the other. We have taken the tour planning the Western way, and then we have forgotten our own African way of traveling. So my suggestion is that, okay, as we foster, as we try to bring Africans together, can we identify what products our brothers and sisters want? What product that can we promote for the Africans to travel within Africa? That was my only contribution. Thanks.
Okay, so we need to identify what Africans want.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is the only way we can be able to encourage them to travel within Africa.
Exactly.
All right, thank you, Walter.
Okay.
Olanma.
Okay, thank you so much, Elizabeth. And can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can.
Okay, good afternoon, house.
Good
I
afternoon.
call all of us the game changers, African tourism game changers. I'm Olama Ojukwu, tour operator here in Benin. Okay, I want to start by saying thank you so much, our tourism, African tourism ambassador, Mr. Ikechi. Like Mr. Ahmed said, he's always coming up with wonderful ones that you write and write and you feel, okay, now I know. And by the time he opens his mouth, you see you don't know anything.
Yeah.
So having said that, I want to also say thank you, Elizabeth. I was the first to mention everywhere you post anything. I say, oh, thank you, I want to join. And I remember I was the first to come in. I even thought, before you told me, no, you are early, come back again.
Yeah.
So having said that, I want to, mine is supposed to be a contribution. Our ambassador, by God's grace, I believe you know what we're doing here in Benin, which is a French-speaking country. We've got Togo, you know, by God's grace, I represent Akwaba in Benin and Togo. And most times we have some of our tour operators that want to participate, but you know, once they come in and then they're like, everything is in English, and then they don't want to continue. Even the meetings, the video conference meetings we started doing since 3 weeks now, every Sunday, we've always had to finish a part in French, not to make the video very long, come back and do another one in English with same person, you know. Some cases I translate. So I want to ask our ambassador, I don't know how he's going to put it together, but for us, I mean, most of the times when I've come even to Akwaba or Wezo with French people, sometimes they'll be like, Ola, I slept all through because I wasn't hearing, you know, I wasn't understanding. And when I try to translate, I miss out from what is being said from the podium. So our ambassador, this is like an indulgence. I'm begging, how do we carry this French? Because we've got a lot of potentials. Of course, you know how many number of countries that the French people colonized, and they're very, very vital for the African continent. So how we can do to get them along, carry them along, so they don't feel like this is an English thing and then a French thing. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Olanma. So we need to involve our French neighbors as well. Ikechi, do you have anything for the French? Because listening to her, they think that everything is in English and they're not able to understand, so they don't get themselves involved. How best have you planned in involving our French neighbors? Before you answer, a comment from Henry. If we do not tell our stories, it's like doing a training demonstration in the dark. Wow. You know what you have, but no one else does. That's a powerful one. Okay, Ikechi.
Okay. Africa has 4 or 5 languages. There is Spanish, there is Portuguese, there is English, there is French, there is Arabic, there is Swahili. And probably in South Africa, you have Afrikaans. Of all of these, only one is ethnic Africa, partially ethnic Africa. That's Swahili.
Okay.
So one of these languages is indigenous to us. We don't have Hausa, Twi, Kikuyu. We don't have any of these African languages as lingua franca. It's not our fault. We found an Africa that was constructed in the image of the European. Our job is to begin to find a way to change some of that. On the management team, we have someone who speaks Spanish and English. We have people who speak Portuguese and English. We have Olanma there who speaks English and French. We have people from other countries who speak English and French. We have some members that speak Arabic. So within the management committee, we should be able to communicate with everybody. And that is why we have country reps. I'm not the one to deal with people in Benin Republic. That would be Olanma's job.
Okay.
I'm not the one to deal with, the people in Angola. That would be Angela's job. I'm not the one to deal with people in South Africa. That would be a South African. So what we have done, we've taken into cognition that most Africans have been divided into different language groups. In the Caribbean, you have French, you have the English, and you have some people that speak Dutch. So we cannot all speak. I'm not gifted to speak all the languages. I wish that are good in all those languages, but it's not possible. Now, I won't say by tomorrow it won't work, but as at now, we have to rely on these different reps in the different environments to represent the vision.
Okay.
So that's how it comes.
Okay, so meaning that in your management team, you have reps from every country. So if Olanma is part of the management team, when you communicate the vision to Olanma, she needs to take it down to her people in Benin. So however Olanma describes the vision to her people, that will be Olanma's job. So she has to inculcate the languages so that the people will not feel that they are not part of the experience. All right, thank you very much. There is a question on Facebook. she wants to know, my question is, how can a new supplier in the chain be part of this project? How can a new supplier in the chain be part of this project?
When they come on July 9th, when we unveil the team, they can find out their country and who is the country rep. We have a Facebook, we already have a Facebook page. We have a membership page on Facebook where people can join, small team players who might not be chosen by the team leaders and who want to be part of it. So that allows everybody to get involved. But the management team and the teams that are going to do the major organization has to be small. We can't have everybody in Africa. There are 1.2 billion people. Everybody wants to be there. But the Facebook page is a membership. There's a page now they can like. We are going to offer most of them who are players. They can become members of that group and they can contribute and join. But that management team is not something. Let me tell you something about Africans that I have learned. We didn't invent democracy, but the country I come from, if you have two people, we probably have three political parties.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
We create all those things. So we want to minimize the normal things we are used to by having small teams in each country. So those teams will try and bring in everybody. If you can't join in at the country level, you can join in on the continental level. When you get admitted into the Facebook group, you're also part of the whole group. So we know there are people who are new, who are small, who are not as reputable as the team leaders. They can join.
Okay, thank you. So we'll be wrapping up, but before you give your concluding remarks, what is the plan to create the experience gallery? Is there a plan? Is there a plan to create the experience gallery?
Oh yeah. Now we are at the basic level of the whole thing. This is just putting the building blocks together. The other parts of it are things that you're going to build on top of the building blocks. Getting all the country reps, doing the agreements, doing quite a lot of that. That's the stage we are at. You are now going to begin to create. Now there is no product to talk about. So what is the experience? The products are going to come as part of a feedback from the infrastructure. Then we can begin to, if you notice, I talked about Kilimanjaro, I talked about the pyramids. I try not to name structures.
Yeah.
So now it is too early to begin to talk about those destinations. Those things will come as we move on. Okay. That's the roofing of the house. We don't start from there. We are doing the basic infrastructure, creating the 400 to 1,000 tour operator, the network across Africa.
Okay.
That's where we are now.
All right. Okay, so from Bernard Kwekujesi, sir, thank you for your education. And can you please share with us the Zoom link for the unveiling of the program? Thank you. Olama says very key. And then from 8TC1M8, how can we tell our stories when we have not agreed on open skies? We still have barriers to intra-African movement, poor infrastructure linkages, and political will. How can we tell our stories when we have not agreed on open skies? We still have barriers to intra-African movement, poor infrastructure linkages, and political will. A question from 8TC.
That's very easy. When Kenya Airways started flying to Nigeria, it takes you 1.5 months to get a Kenyan visa. Once the traffic built up, now I get a Kenyan visa on arrival in Nairobi. Once you create the supply, once you create the demand, the supply comes. So those things will fall apart once people start moving. Before, it was difficult to get an Ethiopian visa. Now you can get Ethiopian visa on arrival. You can get Ghana visa on arrival.
Yeah.
That in the last 3 years. I got involved in the people that pushed for a lot of that. The East African, they changed. Now you can use one visa to go to Rwanda, Kenya, and Uganda. Those things don't happen overnight. It is a gradual process. Once the demand comes, like they said, when the students are ready, the teacher will appear. So I have no problem about that. It will happen.
Okay. Thank you, Ikechi. Please be thinking of your concluding remarks. I'll give the chance to Ahmed to also wrap his submissions up.
Hello, Elizabeth. Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's just a quick comment I want to make on Miss Lena from Tanzania.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, she was speaking about the BBC and other foreign media houses branding our how the return from the COVID-19 lockdown was, like the opening of Tanzania school and this. I want to make a point here, and I'm not being I can say harsh or aggressive in this area. We have to understand and know that I don't want to say that way. Let me say most, okay, and the very most, the bigger bulk of the most of foreign medias will not be happy with what we are doing now. This is my belief, my 100% belief is from experiences. They will not be happy with what is happening here. They don't want us to fish. They want to give us that little piece of fish every day to eat. So what we are doing now, we are crossing borders, we are breaking rules, and then we want to do it on our own.
So we don't want to be spoon-fed anymore.
Exactly. They don't want us
to go and fish ourselves.
They will not love what we are doing, because this will also, if what Ambassador Ikechi was saying, that he is looking at 3 million or 5 million people in 2 years.
Yeah.
They know the amount of people that they are going to be deprived from, and the money that they spend there, and this money is going to be spent in Africa. So this is not a good story for them at all. So we have to know they will fight this project. We will hear some criticism here and there, some, so we just have to be on the careful side and make sure that we are focused on our project, and we move, because they think that everything that is made in Africa does not work. They have to put their final touch in it. And this is the first time I can say that we are doing African tourism, but in Africa, by Africans, for Africa.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ahmed. Ikechi, your concluding remarks, please.
Okay, I'm happy we brought up this issue of BBC. I'm going to name them. The biggest problem we have had is BBC shows.
Okay.
In the morning, they'll pick up killing of hunchbacks in Malawi. They will discuss that day about hunchbacks and killing in Malawi. The next day, they will talk about female genital mutilation in Niger. They will discuss. The third day, they talk about endangered albino. So for Africans who listen, the only thing they know about Malawi is they do hunchbacks. The thing they know about Niger is that they do female genital mutilation. What they know about Tanzania is they kill albino. So each day, they took one thing from Africa and damage that countries. So most Africans who listen to these radio stations have bad impression about fellow Africans. So if you want to know something good about Africa, watch TV, watch the musical channels. They show better things about Africa. Everybody in Africa was singing party after party after
yeah, party.
Yeah. So I think those radio stations are the biggest problem we have in Africa. Like what they did to Tanzania today, you might see one of Ghana tomorrow about Kenya, and they just those teams. They tell you developmental journalism. There is no development in that form of journalism. It's evil is predestined, is pre-planned, and is programmed to make Africans look bad.
To look bad.
There are NGOs that support them and things like that. I'm not bothered about them. My own is to create an alternative narrative. And that is our job. Let's tell the story differently. That's what they do. That's how they make money. That's their income stream. But I don't have problems with that. But I call them out because I see it every day. I walk into a country and I'm the first Nigerian, he says, and the person is asking me questions about what he heard on the radio.
Wow.
That's not me.
Yeah.
So, but it's our job now to change all of that by telling stories about, when we talk about Tanzania, let's talk about something positive. When we talk about Zambia, let's talk about something positive. When we talk about, I want Africans to have an image that is positive. That Tanzania, you talk about Kilimanjaro. Zambia, you talk about this Devil's Pool and Victoria Falls. Zimbabwe, you talk about the rainbows. Pick one country after the other and say something nice about them. Table Mountain in South Africa, amazing view.
Oh, very,
amazing
very
view.
beautiful. I mean,
and if you want to party, there is no party anywhere else in the world outside Lagos.
Yeah.
So let's talk about something positive. So I thank you for having this show today. I've leaked some of the secrets, but it's okay. So, and we're going to wait the 9th of July to unveil the whole project in Africa. So I thank you for this.
Thank you, Ambassador Ikechi, for gracing our show today. Is it possible to get the Zoom link so that we'll be able to share to our participants? Or where?
Okay, I'll send to you. We are going to share. Everybody who was here today will get it. We are going to share to from this evening. I think we'll make it go global. Okay. We'll send to you. We'll get it so that everybody can sign in on that day.
All right then. Thank you very much, and thank you for everything that you've said. What I've picked from it is that we need to change the narrative, and in the narrative, it has to be positive. Everything positive about our continent, about our countries. So from today, as I log out from this program, I am going to write something positive about my country, about my area, and start selling Ghana to the world. Thank you all for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. And this is the Aviation Canteen show where we serve it hot. Okay, so see you guys and see you, Ikechi, on the 9th. I will definitely tune in. So bye-bye.
No problem. We're ready. Bye.